throw some of those salt packets in there or whatever those are, those little sodium.
Oh yeah, the silica gel.
Yeah. Those things come in handy though.
I love those things.
I use them for like my dress shoes and stuff, and it does help because you wear a pair of dress shoes all day and then like you're sweating in them and everything. So I usually like let them sit out, dry, throw some in a little freshener, and put them back in the box. It keeps the leather nice, keeps the leather from deteriorating.
You guys do any touring at all? Did you guys do any touring?
This is our first tour. You're our first and last stop.
This is it.
Oh, right now?
Right now.
This is it, man.
No, I mean like it's a band, like in bands at all. Did you guys ever tour?
I did not. No. We did a lot of local stuff. We did a lot of my band that I was in. We did a lot of like open mics around town. Actually, here in the Tremont area, we played Coda a couple times.
Oh, nice.
And we did Brothers Lounge. Mm-hmm. We went there, but our biggest venue is probably Alex Theater at the 9. We actually did the backings for Red Satin Cabaret. It was like a singing and dance company, and they didn't want to perform to tracks, even though they practiced to. It was an Elvis tribute set, so they practiced to all the Elvis tracks that they wanted to play with, but because they practiced to the tracks, we had to learn the tracks and the timing of. So like we still had to play the songs exactly as performed, as produced, so that way the crew all the dancers and stuff could sing, hit their parts and hit their marks all the time. So yeah, it was kind of weird, but that was like the height, and then that was like it. Like we pulled a Seinfeld. We had to pull the plug. My life got way too busy, and then we had some fallings out with some of the band members. So
they offered you millions of dollars per show.
I think we each got paid $100, which was like money to us at the time, because it's like, yeah, this is pretty good for like only being a band for like a couple years and playing in Cleveland and playing this show. It's like, okay, this isn't bad. Like $100 a show after we playing open mic nights, and kind of feel like we've been investing into all of our work the whole time. So, yeah.
That's good. It's at least a little bit of a payout.
Yeah.
But like,
we did have a couple paid gigs, but that was probably the best one we had.
Hell yeah, because like those little silica gel packs, like because when you're on tour, you're on all kinds of different like climates, and your shit's in back of vans and moisture and everything. So I like all of our, that was like the one like good advice that we got from like a couple different touring bands is like, make sure you have in all of your gear. Yeah. And then like swap them out every 6 months. Yeah. And they were right. Like you would notice them getting pretty grimy towards that 6 month period. Wow. And they're like, and your gear looks in pretty good condition.
I mean, especially for guitar. I mean, if you have an acoustic guitar, you already should be doing stuff like that. But like even electric guitar, like it just, the neck bends even just a little bit.
Who's that guitar maker here in Cleveland? What the fuck was that guy's name? Oh, I can't remember it now.
Was he
Hill Guitars?
Hill.
Remember those Hill Guitars? Mm-mm. It was a Cleveland. He's still around. He does a lot of contract work now. He doesn't make his own guitars anymore, but he does for a few friends here and there, but nothing like crazy. Okay. But like people like Dave Grohl or like the guys from Metallica would send him his, because he had like a patent way to rebuild like guitar necks. And so what they would do is they would send him the guitars that they bought, and then he would redo the necks under his like truss rod patent, so that, they wouldn't bend or move at all in different climates, which is pretty crazy.
Huh. Yeah, my supervisor when I first started working at the clinic like 16 years ago, he was like a real big 80s hair metal guy. Still had the long hair, still rocking the long hair. And he was in a few bands. He actually was kind of popular back in his heyday. And me and him used to always talk guitar shop all the time. And he'd be like, oh, what kind of guitar you got? He's like, well, I got this American Strat. It's the Fat Boy. It's got the humbucker. He's like, oh. He's like, overpaid piece of firewood. That's all that is. I was like, what? He's like, dude, you could always find like a Mexi Telly somewhere that's like way worth it. He's like, it's way cheaper. He's like, and then you could just get the work done just to, improve the pickups and stuff and the neck and do whatever you need to do to like make it, perfect. And he knew a lot of guys in the industry too. And like he had one guy that used to rewire all of his amps with the greenback. some kind of screamers. I can't remember the. Kind of kicking myself now. There's certain speakers you'd replace the speakers in the cabinet.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I forget what they're called.
I know
Redbacks or something, or
something like that.
greenbacks or something like so
Careful
depending.
now.
Oh yeah. Sorry. No offense. Yeah, but whatever they're called, they're supposed to be like a bigger wattage or something to get more sound out of it. And it's like, yeah, I don't have anything that fancy, but like I work for you. I'm not making that kind of money. Like I ain't got nothing like that.
Yeah,
but
maybe you gave me a raise, pal.
Yeah, right.
One of those Mexican guitars you speak so highly of.
I think I was making like $10 or $12 at the time, which seems like, how could you even live on that nowadays? I don't know. Like you'd have to work like 80 hours a day, I guess. I don't know. Speaking of, my brother just lost his job. My brother.
I know, and you know what?
You were there.
We did this LAN party the other day, just like not even a week ago.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. And he was there. I wanted so bad to interview him about that.
He would not come on the show. He would not.
Kept looking at me, and I feel like we did this LAN party. I think I said a little bit about it, and we set up, and everyone has. Basically, he does a better job explaining what the LAN means, stands for, and everything. But I think most people know what a LAN party is. It's kind of an old school thing. His friend Sean, they've been doing this, like 30 years, I think.
Like 20 years.
So we called that episode.
Junior high, we've been doing it. So yeah, about 20.
I think we landed on 30 somehow. But at that party, his brother was there. I'm like, man, I would love to interview him. And I even had like a little setup, like a wireless mic setup. So I was going to go right to it.
Yeah.
Because he was way on the other side with his computer and his game. And but that was awesome. That was a lot of fun doing that.
What did your brother do for a living?
He worked for Tesla. He was part of that layoff, that big layoff.
They just had a layoff. Like it was a big.
He had no idea. He was like, he was even talking to us about it. He was like, man, I thought I was going to be a lifer. He's like, I thought I was going to be there forever. He's like, I was really invested in the company and everything. He's like, and I guess for whatever reason, wherever he sat, his position just wasn't essential enough to stay.
I heard that there was like a big back order on all those cyber cars. There was like stuff really bad. Like there's a picture of just a whole parking lot of them, and they're just trashed.
They did a recall with the Cybertrucks because
they recalled them.
The accelerator would get stuck. So I guess so.
Yes, the thing was literally stuck, and you could hit the brake, but then you got to kind of put it in park and then slide. Yeah.
Holy shit!
He just brought one. He just brought one home too. Because he worked for like the engineering team down in Columbus.
Got one of the trucks.
Well, he was able to bring home a production model. Up to Cleveland for the weekend because he visits for the weekend. And
baseballs at the windows.
Oh no! But I tell you what, driving around in that thing, it was like a photo shoot. We went out to Micro Center, and like the whole time, people either speeding up or slowing down. I'm just like out the window, just like, hey, peace, like, hey, what's going on? Hey, or like you're just constantly taking pictures. That's middle of the night.
To go to in a car like that is the Micro Center.
Yes. Dude, we walked in and I knew exactly the part that I needed because I was trying to do something with my PC at home, my old PC. And so we went right to the back to the PC part picker, whatever section, started talking to an associate. We weren't even there 10 minutes and somebody walked up to him. He's like, dude, somebody's got a Cybertruck in the parking lot. He's like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's us. He's like, that's his. Like, yeah, that. He's like, oh, dude, that guy would not stop following us around the store. He follows us around the store the entire time.
Why you guys are here? You guys buy.
Yeah.
Oh,
he talked and talked and talked. I've never been to that store and associate. He wasn't even trying to sell us anything. He just wanted to talk. He just wanted to talk about whatever, like all of it. I guess they had some kind of PC build off between the other Micro Center stores to make it look like a Tesla.
More of them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think there's like 26 or something in the country.
There's a bunch of different stores.
And
I didn't know it here in Cleveland.
There's one in Mayfield. There's one in Columbus, and then there's some other like.
Wow.
They don't matter. Fuck them.
Yeah. But like, I guess he took the time to ask all of his other associates to get pictures, and like he just kept finding pictures and showing us pictures. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, man. Well, listen, I'm gonna go walk around the store a little bit. Is like, we'll catch you later, whatever. All right, cool. And then like next thing I know, he comes around the corner. Hey, by the way, I got this other picture. I'm like, Like me, my girlfriend, my brother, we're all sitting there like, oh, okay, dude. Like, all right. Kept going, walked around to the front, got in line, stood in line, paid, and I'm just like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I'm gonna see this dude at least one more time before I leave. I know I am. He meets us at the door, in between the two doors, with another picture saying, like, oh yeah, I also went over down the street to Michael's and got like this paint, this acrylic, and then like like in the reveal when he took the ball and he threw it at the window and it shattered the window. Well, I ended up making it look like I cracked the glass on the case so that way it looked like it was cracked. I'm like, that's really cool, dude. I was like, that's really awesome.
Oh my God.
So we ended up going out to eat, and like we're sitting there to eat, and my brother's like, gets a message on his watch, his Samsung watch. He's like, oh no, dude, what? And I look over and it says something like, oh, I forgot to send this or something. And I'm like, and the dude's name was Dustin. I was like, is Dustin already messaging you and sending you more pictures? And he's like, who? I was like, the guy. I was like, did you give him your number at Micro Center? I was like, dude, that guy was in love with you, man. I was like, he was ready to take you home. I was like,
that's what he named the truck.
No, that was the associate's name.
Michael.
And it was like, he's like, no. He's like, oh, I thought for sure you gave that dude his number. He's like, he wanted to take you so bad.
How did none of those like Teslas not have like a Night Rider setting?
I think they do. You could change the sound of them.
Really?
You could make
that's what I hear.
You could even change the light in the front. I think. I know in the inside you could change the different sounds and different things. Like I know when you back up or when you hit the horn. Like my brother, we went to a NASCAR race one time, and like you're sitting in traffic, and all these like hillbillies, they hate it because it's like, oh, it's not a Corvette or something. You know what I mean? It's like oh, it's an electric car. Like get that crap out of here.
Yeah.
So like he changed the horn to a fart noise. So every time you hit it, it's
amazing.
Oh yeah, I forgot it does that too. Yeah.
Every time you walk, every time you hit the horn,
I wish every time you stopped it goes.
I think you could. I think you could download different sounds and different horns and stuff, like a clown horn.
That's crazy. I see them more and more, but that's kind of how it was when Tesla first came out. You see, everyone's like crowding around it, like, oh, a Tesla, and eventually it got
about any other car, maybe like a Bugatti or something, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like if I seen like a really nice Corvette, like.
Well, you see something like that in the news. You see something in the news all the time. You're gonna attract a lot of people, all types of walks of life, like that guy you described.
Those fucking nerds.
Yeah, at Micro Center.
Just one more example of like how much of an idiot Elon Musk actually is.
Oh, that was the first thing the guy said. He's like, well, listen. He's like, I like your car, but that guy's a total. That dude's a total.
Really?
He is. He's a.
That's the first thing the guy said.
I'm surprised he didn't. He wasn't like in love with him.
No, he hated him. He couldn't stand Elon. He's like, He's like, that car's awesome, but dude, screw Elon. I was like, oh, all right, whatever.
That's funny. Like you love this, but you hate the guy. Like,
yeah.
Some people are like socially, they're like, oh, I hate that guy.
My brother was like, well, unfortunately, I work there, and like I've been working there before he went crazy. Like, well, at the time he was still working there. He's like, I worked there. He's
Too
like,
soon.
He kind of went crazy after I've been working here. So, but
did he work there before Elon Musk owned it?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think so. He started working there when they opened up a service center out in Mayfield. Because he was looking for, that's what he went to college for. He went to school for automotive. He actually went to school for high performance automotive. Like his degree would have allowed him to get like on the track for like top throw dragster and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
But he actually had a passion and actually wanted to go back. I don't know I don't really know what his plans are now, but I know he wanted to get into like biofuel and get into like some kind of like EV kind of situation. Like, so when that opened up, he was like, yeah, this is what I'm looking for, and it's close by, whatever. So
if he looks anything like you, what he should not do is consider any kind of racing the superior race. He's like over Formula One or NASCAR. He's gonna look racist.
Probably. No, he's a shorter, much hairier version than me. So no, he's a good guy.
Where did you grow up?
Around here, Parma, east side of Cleveland. Been all over the city. Lived in Fairview for a year or two in Fairview Park, and just here in the area. But both my grandparents are from Kentucky, from Eastern Kentucky. So I got the hillbilly blood in me, and then my other grandparents, they're mutts. They're mixed of everything.
Yeah.
They got everything. French, Native American, everything.
Your brother's truck wasn't necessarily
probably
the pride of the family.
Probably. Oh no, it was. Oh, my dad was pissed because my dad's been. My dad actually signed up when they first did like the $100. Like if you invest $150 now, a down payment, like you get into the lottery pool or whatever for the first trucks to come off the line. So like he was waiting. Yeah. So well, like I guess it was something that they had for like 2 years or something, and every time my brother was like, my dad would be like, "Where's my truck at? Where's my truck?" He's like, "Dad, you know I can't talk about it." He's like, "I'm not allowed." He's like, I signed an NDA. Like I can't talk about what I do. He's like, I'm on the research team. Like there's things that I've seen that I can't talk about, and like he wouldn't even talk about it with us, like with his family. I was like, all right, man. And dude, my dad, he busts his balls all the time. He's like, you don't even love me anymore. He's like, you just totally disowned me. I was like, oh god.
Oh, he put in for a Tesla truck?
My dad did. Yeah, he's wanting it. He was ready. He's ready. He was ready to do it. I don't know if he's still wanting to do it, but yeah, he was, because he does a lot of landscaping. So he is all about when he wouldn't even let my brother wouldn't even let him drive it. He wouldn't even let him get behind the wheel. Like he let him sit in it. That's it. Like he wouldn't even let him drive it. It's got independent steering on the back tires too. Like it's weird. It's all fly by wire. Like it's you drive a car and you're used to like spinning the wheel like 2.5 turns. Mm-hmm. This thing, that's it. It's just that's as far as it goes.
Oh wow.
It's really but my brother was saying he's like it's the easiest car I've ever drove. He's like it drives just like my car. Just the steering is a little bit different. It's all fly by wire. Like there's no linkage with the steering wheel. There's no linkage in the gas pedal. The brakes are the only thing that are like what you're used to because it's still powered by like a brake boost or something. Like it's still all mechanical, but yeah, it's weird. It's live. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been like in a car with like a full screen, full size HD touchscreen. Going on because my brother drives a Tesla naturally, and man, just getting in one of them cars and like going on a road trip. And then I getting to see like the way the air controller, the air conditioning, the radio, the GPS. It tells you how far it is to the next service station, to the next supercharger, all of it. Like it maps out your entire trip. And then we go on vacation. We drove down there. We drove down to Tennessee the one year we went down, and then we come back. And I drove to his house to ride down, get back to his house, get in my car. I'm like, dude, my car is stupid. I'm like, it doesn't know anything. I was like, I got nothing. It's like, I feel so ancient driving this car. Oh, man. It was bad, dude. It's like, I'm looking at my phone now. My phone, it was like, this is bad. I was like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know.
Where did you grow up at?
Olmsted Township, Olmsted Falls area. Yeah.
Did you go to high school?
I went to Olmsted Falls for 2 years, and then I went to Polaris Career Center for 2 years. I took criminal justice there, and that was where I got a certificate for. It's called an OPATA certificate, and basically it's good for life, which is insane. But you can work security. It's approved by Homeland Security. You can work a lot of places with it.
Wow.
And I worked at the airport like right away, right out of high school. That was there. And from 2005 till 2008, I think. It felt like 10 years, but it was only a few years.
You were probably working there when you and I met, right?
Probably. I think I was still working there. Yeah, I was still with those guys. Well, I was working it was contract security. We were contracted at the airport. Oh man, those were the best days of my life, dude. Because I was right out of high school. We did. Oh, dude.
I just remember.
Oh man,
I just remember
this guy used to come by. I worked second shift, third shift all the time. Basically, so we worked for standard parking, so we were in charge of all the parking garages. So I just drove like a golf cart around, and
This is when I lived in Fairview Park, like right next to the airport.
Oh, that's
dude,
awesome.
we would just drive around smoking blunts in that thing.
Oh God.
Counting, and my only job was to count parking spots and call it into the radio. There's 4 spots on the 3rd floor, wow. and then they'd be able to send. Now I don't know. Last time you've been to the airport, Cleveland Hopkins, they now have lights for each floor that literally took away our job because those lights indicate if it's full or not. that was our job to call in if it was full or not.
Oh, wow.
So that got rid of us completely. But I was there. It felt like forever. When when you're like 18, a year feels like 5 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I did, and I did that for years and years, and eventually ended up in hotel industry. I did security at a hotel, Radisson Hotels downtown, which is now I think the Cleveland Gateway Hotel or something. And oh man, they offered me a job there as a valet person, and it was interesting. So security there was also the third shift valet person. So you were security for Radisson, third shift. You got drunks coming in all night, but then if someone needed a car, they were double dipping. They would have the security guard go get the car. It was insane.
Yeah.
And I
How
got
are you
no
doing
tips.
security if you're driving some other dude's car? Like
I don't know, but that's what this is like 2005, 2006. They're double dipping, and then the management there got changed, and the place just got filthy. It's so funny. I was just listening to an old podcast of myself talking about this the other day, but that's probably why it just came to my head. But yeah, the place really fell apart. We had rats. I had a place where I had to make cookies. So anyways, I'm rabbit trailing, but I eventually took I took the job as third shift front desk manager. So I went from being security to
Valet.
to the front desk manager on third shift. That's how much of a shit show this hotel was. And I was in charge of everything. I had to go get blankets, everything from the basement for people. Jeez. I had to do everything on third shift myself. I had to set. Well, anyways, going back to the rats, we had it was Otis Spunkmeyer cookies. You ever hear that?
No.
No?
oh, they make muffins too. They're delicious.
Yeah, I just love the name, right? It has such a ring to it.
Yeah.
Otis Spunkenmeyer.
Spunkmeyer.
Yeah.
And they had a little Otis Spunkmeyer oven, and you put these. Dude, there was rat feces.
Oh
in there.
God.
It wasn't chocolate chips. That's all I'm gonna say.
Gross.
Yeah, dude, that was one of my first early jobs after high school.
So, yeah, you hear that? You guys ate shit.
Basically, I'm sure I ate it.
I mean, we probably still do, not even know it. But I remember the time you told me when you were working at that apartment there on 55th and Chester, and it got shot up while you were you there, or like are you called off or something, or
I might have called off when that happened.
or like you showed up at it just happened.
Yeah. I worked for an interesting.
Like, dude, you got to get out of that line of work, bro.
Yeah, just working on the east side of Cleveland is sketchy, man. I mean, in general, and I still do. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's but hey, I mean, it's
a job.
Yeah, it's a job.
It's a job.
It's a job.
It's pretty much sketchy everywhere.
Yeah.
These days. Yeah, I mean, especially if you have one of those like neighborhood apps, everywhere is not.
You've
safe.
seen ads for it, yeah.
There's some like middle-aged lady named Kathy who's reporting about some sort of gunshots, and it's probably her next door neighbor just like setting off like little firecrackers or some shit. But
yeah, CMHA deals with that kind of stuff all the time. Those apartments and stuff.
Yeah.
Shooting. There was like a guy in the news who. It was a crazy video with the CMHA. Like they bust in this guy's apartment. It's a police cam, and they walk in. This guy was in the bathtub. It was filled, and water was like pouring out. He comes out, dude. I think they tased him, and then I think they shot the guy like 3 times. He was still coming at him. Eventually, they shot him, and then he got the gun away from him, and I think he was on PCP or whatever. But that's the kind of stuff that CMHA, that's the kind of stuff they deal with. It's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy that people can continue to like. You think when somebody gets shot, like they're over with because that's what you see on TV, but
Right.
like 95% of the time, it's not. Like,
No.
though I am skeptical of anybody who claims something is suicide by cop. I am very skeptical of that bullshit because, like,
Yeah.
I had a friend who tried committing that. He tried doing that. Because he was suicidal. He actually said, he's like, I tried to. He's
I mean,
like,
if you're gonna go out, that's the way to do it.
he had a gun. And he's like, it wasn't loaded. He's like, and I was having a hard time. He's like, and they actually went to go pull me over, and he didn't stop, and he ended up pulling into a gas station, and he just sat there in his car, and he kept showing his gun, and they kept telling him to drop the gun. And he was like, what do I do? And he was ready to just point it, just so you can just let them shoot,
Show it to
just,
him, yeah.
just kill him. He's like, but
It's not illegal to own a gun.
No, it's not, but it is illegal to point one at a cop. So
Yeah, if you're waving it around.
Yeah.
he got close, and he's like, that was kind of like my breaking point. That was years ago. That was an old friend of mine.
It makes you wonder though, like, if the cops can shoot you for having a gun, is it really like a Second Amendment right? I don't. At that point, it's like, no, it's not really. Even that's a bullshit like amendment.
Well, I don't think they can shoot you for having a gun. They can shoot you if they fear for their life.
Yeah. If they think that you're gonna pull it. I've seen so many. We play a lot of these videos on our show all the time. There was one where a guy was in his car and he was refusing. You see the one where the guy thinks he's a lawyer and he's like, oh yeah, he knows all the jargon, all the legal talk, and he's talking, and he is right, but he's kind of being a pain in the ass, So it's like it gets to the point where, well, in the one video, the guy, he did have a gun and. Or he had a holster, but there was no gun there. I don't know what it was, but they lit him up. You have police surrounding you, and as soon as someone says a gun, they all it's like a mob mentality. Everyone just fires,
Crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is scary.
That makes you wonder, like, that's also a testimony of like poor fucking training on the cops side of things.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna shoot somebody for simply having a gun, that's not your right to own one.
Right.
Recently watched a video. This guy was strapped to the nines. He had a full-on vest and everything. Black guy, had a mask on and glasses, like he had like a face mask and glasses. Had one in his chest. Had the trunk full of rifles, and then come to find out he was actually like ex-police. He was a gun trainer, and he trained a lot of recruits and stuff. But like when he got pulled over, and they didn't know it. And he's like, yeah, I got everything. Like, he's like, I'm just gonna should just keep my hands out here in the window. He's like, just to be safe. He's like, no, you're good. So just don't keep on the steering wheel. You're fine. He's like, just don't pull for nothing. He's like, I got documentation for everything. He's like, everything's legal. Everything is registered and everything. But like, how often does that happen? No, I mean, but and at the same vein, you don't see the videos or hear about the stories of when the traffic stop goes right. You always hear about the ones when they go south and they go bad.
I mean, there's some YouTube channels out there where the guys are actually pretty fair. Like they'll do assessments where the cops did a better job than the person who's in the car. And they like rate them, and I was like, those are the videos I don't like. I don't like when the cops do well.
Right. It's not as entertaining.
Like yeah.
But there should be more of it though. I mean that's the problem with the media, I think, is like we don't show enough good news, and it doesn't have to be good and happy news. Like it's just, the crime and the misfortune and the dirty deeds, like that is entertaining to us. Like we find, I don't know why. It's just
it's the same reason why we don't report all the planes that land.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, exactly.
So, well, it's the same as doom. I was just talking on a podcast with my friend Chris the other day. Doom scrolling. You go, oh, that's you see a wedding picture. Oh, that's nice. Keep scrolling. It's like you're looking for the bad, but then you see the good. And you go, oh, love, and you go. That's just how we are as humans.
It's messed up.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
It is kind of messed up, and I wonder why we're so attracted to these stories of like so and so, or like like authorities acting poorly.
Yeah,
like we're more drawn to like
injustice.
Yeah, injustice type stories than you would be like a story where somebody like, helped another person out. Like, yeah, it's cool, but you're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But if you find out like, some injustice happened, you're going to dig fucking deep. I wonder why it's like, that's our lizard brain, or like our reactions to things are like, oh, I'm going to dive deep into who fucked up where, as opposed to celebrating. Like I can't tell you off the top of my head a single person where I watched them do something charitable what their fucking name was.
That's true.
I couldn't tell you what their fucking name was.
Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
That's one.
She was a bitch.
Mr. Beast.
Believe it or not.
Jesus.
She was a bitch.
She was a huge bitch.
From what I heard.
I'm sure. Back in her day, I'm sure.
Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the YouTubers I watch was the other guy that he's like he does the glitter bombs. Mark Rober.
Mark
Rober.
Yeah, he's a snitch. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's like, but like even at the same time, like he's making entertaining content on other people being vandals and like thieves and like breaking into cars, and
It is fun to
And it's
watch.
like,
I'll give him that.
but then he's
Especially the
getting
Sting
them
Bomb
back. Oh God, it's so good. It's so good to see them get back, like get what's coming to them, and
And
it's
it's
like
relatable. I mean, we've all been porch burgled.
I have not. Well, no, wait, I take that back. I have, but this was before it was actually a thing. Porch pirate.
Yeah.
Porch pirates.
I like to. I like to go with burgled.
Porch burgled. Burgled is a good
what
word. I
word?
like that
Like a
word.
burglar. You got
Oh,
burgled.
okay.
I got burgled. I got burgled.
Burgled. That's a good one.
So
And my buddy bought me a Sega Genesis game off Amazon. This was like years ago. I think we were still living at home, and he ordered it. And this was before Ring cameras or any of that jazz. But he ordered it, and it said it was delivered. And he thinks that one of the kids on the street picked it up off of his front porch. They just seen the box, and probably they threw it on his front porch. And then next thing you know, it was gone. And
it's still a.
it was like a
problem with,
$30, $60 game, something like that.
with Uber Eats. That happens all the fucking time now. Where like they'll say they delivered the food or whatever, or sometimes they'll just pick up the food and be like, and then sign off,
Yeah.
free meal, and then that's up to both the establishment and Uber Eats to make up for it, which is really annoying if you're working Uber Eats.
Sure.
But who gives a shit? Who get like Taco Bell's a multi-million company, so is Uber. So why am I gonna feel sorry for them? Like they can go fuck off.
There's a local establishment that me and my girlfriend go to, and they have a kitchen. It's like a little dive bar or whatever. We go there and get lunch sometimes, and they were considering doing either Uber Eats or the other one, Grubhub or something.
Yeah, DoorDash.
DoorDash, yeah, but like they decided against it when they found out that they eat the cost. So like if the driver doesn't do what they're supposed to do, or if the customer complains, like they have to replace it. He's like, and it's on them. Nobody else owns the burden of making it right except for the restaurant. And then like not only that, but like their kitchen, like it's a small kitchen. So I mean, like they do good enough just serving their patrons that they have come in and day out. But like to be able to like open up your kitchen to be able to feed the neighborhood, like that's a big task. Like you have to have like all of the, like you have to make sure you have enough people, you have enough capital to cover things like that. And it's like
good tax write-off.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, I'm sure.
If those things are in place, like they can be a good tax write-off. Because I work for a beer distributor, and one of these times I wish one of these like new vendors that we get, like a new brewery, be like, look, have you ever had like a good tasting beer? Like this is what I want them to say. Look, have you ever had a good tasting beer? Odds are good our beer tastes like that beer. And yes, we are involved with our community, but we'll donate because it's a good tax write-off. That's the only reason why we do that.
Sure.
And here's what's going to happen with this beer. You're going to put it in your face, you're going to drink it, you convince yourself it's good, and then you're going to go on to do that. You're going to go on to talk about that podcast you'll never get done. So that's how this is going to go down. I would love that if they were just honest. Like there's so many breweries. Almost every single brewery has like the same goddamn story, and it's always like, oh, we get involved with the community.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you do that 501c3 bullshit
Right.
just so you can write it off on your taxes. I know the game. Like,
But the community don't know that.
yeah.
Have you
To
ever-
them, it makes them look good.
Have you been to Forest City Brewing Company? I think they're
Yeah,
called.
like right around the corner. from
They
here.
I hate to say anything about it, their beer just isn't great.
No, it's not.
And it's a cool venue. So my band, the Morning Bird, we had a residency there last year. So we played there like once a month. It was a gig once a month, mostly tips. They paid in. I think they paid us a check too. I don't know, but we'd get free beer, but it sucked.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, I ended up buying the good, like they give us the crappy beer. Like we can only get I think it was actually called POC, piece of crap. It was literally because they knew. And that goes back to like what you were
Was
saying.
it the Pride of Cleveland beer?
Yeah. Is that what it's called for real?
There's a brand of beer that used to be in Ohio called POC and was Pride of Cleveland.
That's probably what it is, but I think that was the joke.
He was like it's an old man beer, which is it's not great beer.
It's terrible, whatever it was. It was
Consider
not
PBR or Yingling old man beer.
Hey, PBR is an award-winning
PBRs. I like PBRs.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I can't tell you the last time I drank beer.
They won one award. They won one award in the 1800s, late 1800s. That's
all you need.
Bragging about it.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. Is brag about that one blue ribbon they got. I hope it was a participation ribbon in reality.
Yeah. It wasn't even for the beer. It was for the livestock. It was.
I was gonna say that's the pig ribbon.
Yeah, it was for the livestock and the grains. It wasn't even for the. It wasn't even for the beer.
Community. Grains. Where did you go to high school?
Parma. Yeah,
When did you graduate then?
05.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 05.
I was in 03 is when I graduated.
Okay. From Parma?
No, well, I was homeschooled. So
okay.
The Parmanists really rubbed off on me.
Yeah, actually, I just found out today that a girl that I went to school with, we were actually pretty good friends, particularly my senior year because I was in jazz band. She actually passed away. Oh. I don't know if she passed away today or yesterday or when it was, but
suicide by cop?
No, no, I didn't even. We were good friends in high school, but like I haven't really talked to her since. She actually tried out for our band as a drummer. She was really good, but she just had too many other things going on. She was in the drum line for the Cavs. She moved to Detroit and like opened up her own like teaching studio and everything. And I guess she had some health problems like for the last year or so, and it was just sad. But like it just got me thinking like, am I at the age now that like people that I went to school with like are going to start dropping off? Like it's just like one giant death pool now. Like it's just like who's next?
Is this your like first like of your?
I've had one other girl, but unfortunately she did commit suicide. But that was still just as sad. But yeah, this is like the first time that like somebody that I know. Well, I shouldn't say the first time. There was a couple other people, but like we weren't. Same graduating class or not, like I mean, I just knew them. They were around my generation, but yeah, I mean, for somebody her age and like, it wasn't like she was like overweight or like on drugs or like anything like that. It was just like just natural health. Yeah, and it's like it's just sad like to see that, and it's like
yeah, it is.
It's like I could see it coming. It's like oh man.
Yeah, those days.
Like, I'm not that old. Am I that old? Are we that old? Are we that old yet? Like
to that age, I think.
Just celebrated my 37th birthday. Like, I guess. Like,
yeah, I mean, I was talking about it the other day about how like, when one of your friends die or whatever, like people get like tattoos of their dead friends.
Yeah.
If I did that, I'd be like head to toe at this point. I have more dead friends than alive friends. So I was like, look, my body is a temple, not a fucking mausoleum.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's good.
It looked like just an homage of a bunch of dead friends at this point. Like,
yeah.
And it's like always, various different circumstances of like somebody dying of cancer or somebody getting hit by a drunk driver or somebody ODing twice in Montreal. Like that's what my friend Nick, he OD'd twice. He took heroin for the very first time, went shopping, overdosed in the supermarket.
Wow.
He was trying to kill himself. Like that's why he took the heroin and then decided to go shopping for some reason. And then he goes shopping. He passes out in the grocery store. They rush him to the hospital. He claims to them that it was just he was dehydrated. And then he goes home and then finishes the fucking job.
Oh, my.
Which is crazy. Only time he's ever done heroin.
Wow.
And there's other friends who, this is before we even knew what fentanyl was really, but he got one of those fentanyl patches. And I don't think he realized how powerful it was. So he just slapped the whole, I guess you're supposed to cut it into like 1 inch by 1 inch squares.
I have no idea.
But he just slapped the whole 6-inch thing onto himself.
Jeez.
Yeah, he just threw it on and he was drinking on top of it. So he literally died like laying next to his girlfriend.
Wow.
Man.
Crazy.
Dang, that is crazy.
So yeah, there's a lot of like weird stories like that. But like, it's sad to say that like at some point or another you do become like you become somewhat callous to it, but you also you're constantly being reminded of your mortality.
Right, exactly.
Motherfucker.
Exactly. That was kind of the mixed feelings I was having. It's like, I need to start taking better care of my health.
Yeah.
Like, I need to
Even
start
then,
paying
you
attention.
don't know. Circumstances are circumstances. Like
Yeah.
no one gets out of life alive.
Yeah, yeah, right.
The moment we're born is the moment we start dying.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you can't necessarily predict when it's going to happen. So the best you can do is like,
Be ready
it's
to
different
go.
For you, you've got kids, so I guess your perspective's a little different, right? Like,
I try. I'm still in touch. I like to think I'm in touch with my morality or my mortality, but like I also like to feel like if for some reason I were to go today, that I've left enough of a legacy or enough wisdom or imparted some kind of knowledge or left some kind of I don't know, like the impact that I've made on my kids, even though like some of them, like I have 3 little ones that are between 8 and 6. So like even them, like they're so young. I would like to think that like my older son, and even my other family members, like I've done enough, or like I don't feel like I've done enough. I always feel like I could do more, but like I feel like if I were to go, there's still a legacy there for them to follow, or there's some kind of I don't know what I'm like something to look up to, I guess. Like I don't want my kids to be like me. I want them to be better than me. When I feel like I've achieved that so far. My kid's only 15, so it's still there. There's still always. But like I feel like I've left enough wisdom, at least on my oldest son, that even if I were to go, that I feel like he would be able to impart that onto his siblings and kind of like progress that. But yeah, it is kind of shaking to kind of be like, man, like I knew her, like we were cool friends. Like I used to talk to her all the time. Like, man, she was like the nicest person, one of the nicest people I knew. It's like,
Yeah.
I wasn't like a real popular guy, and like I was friends with her. Like she was cool. Like me and her used to talk all the time. Like she almost joined our band for a minute. Like just to see somebody like that go, it's kind of like
I just
nerve wracking. I don't want to say nerve wracking.
the episode that I'm about to drop probably tomorrow, at the end I did kind of like you see like the end of a movie or end of a show, so I'm like in memory of. So a friend of mine, his wife just passed away 2 weeks ago, and she was only 38 years old, and she was battling cancer for 10 years.
damn.
So my friend is actually Jeffrey Hatrix, former singer of Mushroom Head, and he I've known him. Actually, I knew his nephew. That's how I know him, and I've known them probably about 20 years. And I remember when she first got diagnosed with cancer, and she was like, again, the most like she was kind of like she had dreadlocks. She was like, big pothead, but she was like the nicest person, such a bubbly attitude. Like, even through all of her treatments over the past like 10 years that I've known her, she was just always so good. I saw her at concerts. Like she lived her life. She didn't just like become depressed and just lay in bed and not do anything. She, all the way up to her dying couple weeks, she was just,
Which is
It was just-
commendable. I don't know.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't think I'm that person.
Yeah.
Who's able to like, if I got diagnosed with a disease tomorrow, I would probably be a pretty depressed.
yeah.
So we don't. So what you're saying is you don't want us to say nice things about you. Got you.
Please, actually, please. I
Talk
wanna leave a
shit,
legacy. What? Leave people sad that you're gone? No, that's why you got to go out with a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
Piss everyone off. That's why they can't wait to throw the dirt on your grave.
Right. Really go for it, and really hate me.
Right.
Really go for it.
My dad says he wants a Viking funeral or a pirate funeral, or like he wants to be buried at sea. Like he puts you on a boat and just big archer and throw the flame. He's like, but I also want to have the headless thing where they hot potato my head around at the funeral and say,
Oh, man.
whoever catches it has to say something about me. I was like, dude, you are like the most morbid mofo I know. Like, I mean, we're just laughing and joking, but
He
he's
could
like,
have his cake and eat it too, right? I mean, you could just pop the head off the body,
Yeah.
and the body out.
Right.
Hopefully, you know
that's
somebody
what he's
who's
saying. I'm like,
a
dude, you're
marksman.
crazy. Not doing it. I was like, so who's throwing the arrow? He's like, I don't know. You guys, that's between you and your brother. You got to find
Hire a
somebody.
marksman.
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to find somebody.
Did you see the video of the lady who brought the corpse in? I think it was over in
grandmother was
Ecuador or
talking about that,
something.
yeah.
She brought an actual corpse in a wheelchair. This guy, and she's putting his head forward and trying to put a pen in his hand, trying to get him to sign off. I don't know if it was his house or whatever.
It was his money.
The guy was dead. I mean, he was gone.
It was his life savings.
Yeah, the video went viral on. I saw it on Twitter, but
They wheeled him up to the car, and he was dead. And they were trying to get his money, and then went back.
it was
in the car.
dude. It was disturbing because he's just and she's
And
trying
then-
to
and then
like
after they took his money. They
she's
took him
trying
to
to
the
put the pen in
hospital.
his hand. Well, what is he gonna do?
It was like Weekend at Bernie's Part 3. It was so bad.
That's exactly what it was like. Yeah, it was crazy.
I ain't seen it, but my grandmother was telling me. She told me all the details. I was like, "That is nuts." She's like, she's laughing. She thinks it's hilarious. She's
It
like,
is-
she's
it
like,
is-
these two ladies.
sick
She's like,
to
they
watch,
just brought
man.
him in here.
It is sick.
Taking out loans
He's like,
under his name.
they took out all of his money. I was like, and then they put him back in the car, and then took him to the hospital and say that, oh, there's something wrong with him. He was dead.
Yeah,
He was dead
yes.
for hours. They had him on video and everything. It was
Oh,
nuts.
dude, that's
That is
insane.
crazy.
It is crazy. This world, man.
Who's the person who let that go down?
I don't. It was some country. I don't know what country it was. But
Oh, I don't know.
mean,
This is the first time I heard it was in Ecuador, but that's,
yeah, I mean, you could tell by the video it was another country somewhere. And the stuff you think, the things you see on Twitter, man, it's
Yeah, it's wild.
it is crazy. It's like being in hell. That's what I always say. It's like it gets worse and worse. I got to close it after a while. Like, ugh, what did I just do to myself?
Do you have a bathroom?
Yes.
I've been trying to make it as long as I can.
Yeah, me too. Actually,
Yeah, we could pause. We could pause.
okay, great. Hate to break the flow.
It's okay.
Time out whilst I think up some more deviltry.
So do you record bands here?
I don't. I've never recorded a band in here. I have mixed a couple of albums here, but I don't even do that anymore. To be honest with you, I just don't care.
Like, how soundproof is it? Like, that's why I was asking, because, like, I mean, like this, there's nobody else in the building. I mean, the only thing you'd have to worry about is the
Forget
neighbors.
What it was. We had a guy come in here and do like an acoustic treatment test.
Yeah.
And he actually said this is a pretty solid room. Like he said, there's nothing we really need to do to it.
Cool. Quiet neighborhood too. I don't. It's not like you got cars whizzing by or.
Sometimes,
Really?
Sometimes we'll hear motorcycles whiz by, but it's mostly in the
summer.
summer, and it's the only occasionally hear loud music from a car.
Yeah.
But now that I've switched to these microphones, you never hear it.
Yeah. You gated. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is well. How's the you got AC up in this place? How's the summer go?
I do, but the AC up here is very weak.
Okay, I would imagine because you're up high. Yeah.
Not a lot
I
of
don't
airflow.
mind. It does suck when it gets warm up here,
Yeah.
but it's also very, very quiet.
Ah. Okay.
That's why he designed it that way.
yeah.
So it would remain
So
quiet.
even when the
Have
AC
any-
kicks on, you don't hear it.
Right. Wow. Yeah. I I know. We've done episodes where I'm basically
Pizza's done.
sweating them out of the house because I'm very anti air conditioning. I feel
was
like
for a long time too.
I feel like anytime I have it on, especially if I'm sleeping, I will wake up with a full blown cold the next day. I'll be
Really?
sick. Yeah, it just does something to my so like I've just gotten used to just sleeping naked or whatever. You know what I mean? Just nothing on, just maybe a sheet, not even anything, nothing. Just I just lay down and sweat it out because I don't want to get sick. And I've just kind of got used to it. So, anyways, we were. Last summer, it got pretty warm down there, so I had to turn the air on, but then it was same.
you have it.
Oh, I do have central air, but I just didn't even have it on. And it
I'm a
was,
fan, dude.
he's like, give me a fan or something. Come on, I'm dying over here.
Box fan. Put it in the other room.
I was like, I'm sorry, man. But yeah, what I was just, I don't even know how we got into the whole. We were talking about Rock and Roll City Studios and how a lot of bands would practice there, and we were in a band there. And we had a spot there, and I think it was like I think we were probably paying like $100 a person or something like that. It broke down because it was only 4 of us, me, you, Josh, and Josh. So I think there was another band sharing that room with us too, maybe. So maybe it was cheaper. I don't know. But there was like a metal band sharing that room with us. But I remember this. I have a weird. I remember a lot of things early in life very well, but nothing like couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast today. But I just remember. So this was, and if this is okay, and I want to bring this up on whenever you come over.
It happened. So
This happened. So I'm just gonna bring it up. I wanted to bring this up when you were on, but maybe I'll bring it up again.
So we were in a band together.
So we were in a band. It was called Watching Tomorrow Burn. We were like screamo. Yeah, WTB. Watch the balls. Inside joke, and I don't know. The band was like kind of changing. I know, like, I played drums, but I was like trying to be like the singer or something. We were trying to get a drummer.
You had the best voice out of all of us.
And me being with those guys for years and years and years, it kind of got to the point where we all realized that. Josh used to sing, and then it just was like, hey, he's whatever. But yeah. So then you joined the band, like you said at the beginning of this, because you met Josh Watson in school. And I don't know how long you were with us. I want to say maybe a year. Maybe a year. And we used to practice actually at your garage at your house.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Wow. Yeah, I remember all this stuff.
Really shitty. That's another reason why I decided to do this podcast.
Yeah.
My memory is garbage.
Okay.
And I noticed that there's like certain things that I have completely forgotten about that have happened in my past, and so that's a nice like way of like more, I guess, like documenting some of the things that I've done.
That's interesting. Okay, yeah, so I'll tell you about this. So we were practicing. I think Josh picked you up. There's something wrong with your car. So this was
surprise there.
Yeah. And from what I recall, we didn't even practice yet. We were setting up, and I don't really remember what happened or what led up to it, but somehow, okay, it's kind of coming back to me. So Josh, our guitar player, not Watson, the other guy, he had posted something about, we have a new album coming out. It should be a lot of fun, whatever. I don't know what it's something about the language and what he posted. This was like a MySpace post. Man, I can't believe I remember this stuff.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah. I have a crazy memory, man.
I'm loving it though.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So we are talking about this MySpace post, and somehow you and Josh Cooper got into it, not really heated, but it was like you were like, what I remember you saying, and I quote you, you said, perhaps I'm not a right fit for this band. Because I guess you didn't like the language he used in that post or whatever, how he was promoting it or whatever. I don't know if it was cheesy, or I don't even remember what he said, but I remember that was why that came up, and it turned into an argument. I don't even know how. I just remember I was sitting in my drum kit, like what's going on? And then I had to be like, I was probably about 18 because I was driving. And that was that. We didn't even practice, and that was I think that was when you.
It was at my house.
No, this was actually at the Rock. I guess we had eventually had to leave your garage and go to the Rock and Roll City Studios, and that's where we were when that happened. And and we were already paying to keep that place, and I don't know how much we were paying, but I know we had that spot, and that's where that happened. And then we ended up not even practicing because
that's so funny,
because you quit.
I do remember. I thought I had quit. In my head, Josh and I got into an argument about something at a show at the Olmsted Falls
Community Center.
Yeah,
that small place. Yeah,
yeah.
There probably was other things leading up to it. I think maybe. I don't know. Maybe you already were planning to quit. You know, that's why we didn't even start a song or anything. But I'm sure there were other things.
We did record an album.
Mm-hmm. at that place, at the studio. I think we recorded.
I thought we recorded at a friend of mine's basement.
I'm pretty sure.
Parma Heights.
Oh, Gabe.
Gabe.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Gabe.
Right,
We
Brian,
did.
That's so funny. You remember his name and I didn't.
Gabe.
I remember, man. I remember a lot of names and things I couldn't. Again, I can't tell you what I had today.
I have no idea who Gabe is.
But yeah, we recorded that album in his basement
Yeah.
because he had like a bunch of recording gear.
It was in his parents' house, his
Yeah.
parents' basement or something. Yeah.
I don't even think he lived there then.
What you got in there?
And where?
Get your lunch in there?
I wish.
Al.
But yeah, no, that's so funny. Like, no, this isn't awkward for me at all. Like, okay,
I'm
that's
glad.
so funny that you remember that.
Yeah.
And it's something that happened. Like, I don't like.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like I'm ashamed of it. I'm probably was wrong in this situation for.
And it was also like 20 years ago almost. So
Right,
like,
yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I kind of did the same thing when I had Grayson. So our last episode, we had the former drummer of the late Aaron Carter on our show, a friend of mine, Grayson, and I brought up an awkward story with him, and that was I didn't know how he was gonna react, but there was like because he was a drummer, I'm a drummer. We grew up in the same like church type of thing. I know we've kind of talked about that kind of stuff, and our church did our
Organization.
yes
Denomination.
had this thing called Teen Talent where they would have like basically a talent show for teenagers in church, and Grayson and I both did drum solos. I came in second place. I thought he came in first, but he didn't even place. I was like, dude, I didn't mean to like shit on you or anything. Have you come over here and say, like, because I'm just remembering things from, but I was even telling that story. Oh, actually, it wasn't that story. It was another story where he lost a gig. I'm going to tell the real story, all right? So this is what really happened because I let him talk and say what he wanted to say. He's not going to hear this podcast. But it was a church thing, a big event, like a general assembly thing, a Pentecostal thing. They needed a drummer. They asked me. I said yes. We had a practice before the event. He didn't even show up to the practice. And then at the event, he showed up right moments before it started.
Oh.
That's what really happened.
Oh.
Love you, Grayson, if you hear this, but that's what happened. That's why I played and you didn't. And that was like one of our first run-ins is when we were younger. It was awkward because I kind of like took a gig from him. He's a far superior drummer than me. I mean, this dude. I mean, he's got 21-inch arms. He's huge. He's a beast.
I thought he was gonna break my hand when he shook it.
Dude, yeah. I mean, he's a black drummer. He kills it. I mean, But I was there. I rehearsed. That's why I played. But yeah, I remember all these weird stories, man.
Black drummer, it made me think of something. I got a funny story when you know.
I do remember quitting because I had an issue with Josh. I don't remember, or Josh Cooper.
Yeah. And a lot of people did. That happened a lot. You weren't the only person ever in our band that had an issue with him.
The funny thing is, I
kind of a hothead.
what the issue was.
Me neither. That's the problem. I think it was just a perfect storm of all these different things. And then it was just like, yeah.
I tell my girlfriend the same thing. It's like, why are you picking this fight for? Like, you're not even going to remember this fight next
I wish
week.
I can remember what the post was.
It was something, I'll be honest with you, dude. I didn't get it either. From what I remember, it was like, it's something exciting's coming up and you didn't like the way that it sounded. Honestly, I didn't get your side of it. I didn't understand why you were kind of, if I'm just being brutally honest.
Oh, be brutally honest.
It sounded like you were trying to get out of the band and you're just thinking of any fucking thing you could.
Probably.
That's what it sounded like. Like you're like,
usually how that goes.
Yeah.
Probably. I honestly,
Yeah.
I can see where your perspective of that was.
Yeah.
Because during that time, I didn't know how to handle confrontation.
Okay.
I didn't know how to express like.
Is any of us at 18, 19 years old?
Yeah, I didn't know how to say.
It's the homeschool thing. Going back to.
So that's why I think that a lot of what Josh was probably Josh Cooper was mad at me about.
Yeah.
Was probably a lot to do with something I did because I didn't have the maturity to say like, oh, I'm not really into this.
Yeah.
Or I'm not like, it was like one of those situations where I kind of got myself into something I didn't really want to do. And I just continue to go along with it and continue to go along with it. And because I didn't know how to say, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And so, no, I appreciate your brutal honesty.
No, yeah,
because
that's just how I
honestly
looked at
how
it.
That probably went down was that I freaked out over something that was
Not a big deal.
not even that big deal, or like a post that I disagree, or something he had said that I disagreed with, and it was like, okay, this is my out,
Right.
because I don't know how to. And then, like, I'm sure I was going through some sort of like
Yeah.
girl drama at the time.
Yeah.
Sort of like
Quarter-life
a big
crisis.
deal at the time, but now it's like, oh, why did I freak out about that
Yeah.
type deal?
Well,
I appreciate you saying what you said, because like
That's just how it looked from me on the outside. I was like, well, this doesn't seem like a very big deal. Certainly to leave the band over.
Sure.
It could see if it was like, dude, you're dating my girlfriend or something like that, or but that was just what I gathered from that.
I know I was already kind of butting heads with Josh Cooper.
Yeah, that happened a lot, man. That happened a lot with a lot of people in our band.
See, but I think I'm the one situation where like it may have not been him.
Yeah.
It might have been me, because like, again, I didn't know how to deal with those types of like
Yeah.
I didn't know how to deal with it. So like I just kept going along with something I didn't really want to be doing.
Okay.
And then next thing you know, like it's like
gotta-
almost a year in, and I'm
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I don't know. And I mean, Josh Watson's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to hear his perspective on it too.
Yeah.
Or even Josh Cooper's. I would love to hear his perspective.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, let's call him up.
Calling up. Do you have a way to make phone calls? Well,
I do. Yeah.
do you? I would love to do stuff like that on my podcast.
We talked about it. We talked about
Yeah,
that.
we have.
Getting callers in.
Yeah.
There's like a little Bluetooth you can
Oh.
hook up
That is
to.
sweet.
But I think this is one of the rare situations with him. Because you're right. I know that there was a lot of people who did have like issues with him, but I
Yeah.
think this was the one phenomenon where like he wasn't necessarily the problem. So I was probably the problem, and
Yeah.
like, I didn't have the emotional maturity to like, because when you're homeschooled, you sometimes
Wasn't Josh also homeschooled? I know.
He
I know
was.
Laura
He was homeschooled. It's two guys who didn't know how to communicate to each
Right.
other.
And they're still growing up pretty much. Or you
Yeah.
guys are in your 20s or early 20s or probably 19 or whatever. Yeah, man. That's just life, man. It took me, I'll be honest with you. I'll be brutally honest towards myself. It took me almost until like my 30s. So that's why part of the reason why I started my podcast, Your Drive Home, is I felt like my whole life I've always been in the background, just kind of absorbing and processing things and never getting to actually put it out there. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just start talking into my phone while I drive home every day. And that's what I started doing. And then it evolved into a whole thing like set up like you have. And
It's really cool.
yeah, and I was like, I feel like a lot more confident. I used to stutter a lot. I started stuttering. Like I don't know why. It was just like these weird things, and I feel like I got over it. Like every now and then I still stutter on my show, but listening to like some old episodes of my show, and so now like leaps and bounds. I have ADD. I was we're from the generation that we weren't really diagnosed with anything. It just kind of you got ADD, or you got I swear I'm probably on the spectrum of some sort, but I was never diagnosed with it. I was always I had teachers. I had teachers tell my parents I needed a kick in the ass. A teacher.
That's ADHD, bro.
That's crazy. That's just the time we grew up in. So,
Like, I didn't do well if somebody wasn't like lighting a fire under my ass to get me moving and get me doing
Right.
it. If I didn't have a deadline, a hard deadline,
Right.
with consequences, like there's no motivation. I was just having this conversation with Kelly's son the other day.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I know what you're, because he's also got it, and he has medication, but he doesn't take it all the time. It's
I
like,
take Adderall.
it's like, yeah, but it's like, dude, being prompt. He's like, doing being prompt to me. He's like, sort of, not really. What does it mean? I was like, it's just like being ready and prepared. It's like, dude, if I tell you I'm going to pick you up at your girlfriend's house or your friend's house at 9:00 and I'm on my way, he's like, dude, I want you to be ready and waiting at 9 o'clock. I was like, that doesn't mean like get up off the couch and say goodbye or finish your clip or whatever it is that you're doing at 9 o'clock. That means be out in the driveway waiting. It's like, I'm telling you, I'm trying to teach you this now. I said, because when you get older and you have meetings or you have somewhere you got to be and somebody's waiting on you, like you have a podcast at 7 o'clock and you don't show up till 7:15. It's like, dude, people are waiting on you to be there to show up. And it's like, I am notoriously late. Like, and I told him, I'm like, dude,
Me too.
You know the joke, Tim time. Like we're working on Tim time. I was like, and that's another sign of symptom. Is like I am very bad at judging how long it's going to take me to do something. And it's like, yeah, okay, so I got to be there at 7. So that means if I take a nap till 6, I can get up, take a shower, and get ready, get everything together. And like, no, that like, yeah, I take a nap till 6, but then I don't get up off the chair or the couch till like 6:15. So it's like, now I got 45 minutes. It takes, you know what? Like it just spirals.
Yep.
And dude, and it's like that with everything.
Yep.
And dude, it took me a long time. It really actually wasn't until I started working in education. And I was in meetings and like I'm sitting there actively taking notes on everything that everybody's saying and trying to write down all these things that I need to remember. And then like a day later or a week later or whatever, my boss would be like, hey, did you have that thing that we talked about? I was like, what thing? He's like, you were there. Like you were talking, like you... Boss is like, listen, here's my notes. Like, there's nothing in here about that. Like, he's like, you were sitting right there. I looked right at you and said, blah, 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 blah. Make sure you do get this and this for me. I'm like, man, like, and I was like, it just like, it's not a blackout moment. It's just.
You have things going on in your head.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what's out
And-
there?
and
like,
that's-
you're just like,
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying with all of this. I'm glad you said that because I completely lost my whole train of thought. We're terrible together, man. I don't know why we do a show together because we both have ADD and it's just rabbit trail after rabbit.
Constantly
We never
cutting
come
each
to
other
a conclusion of.
That happened
Right.
3 times today. I was
Yeah.
talking to a new person.
Yeah.
And I'd start like a conversation about something, and then
Yeah.
I'd have to stop and be like, I forgot what
Yeah.
I even started talking this about.
Well, I feel like doing my show has helped me be more engaging and attentive to
Yes.
what people are saying. Because
Yes.
when we first started doing this, honestly, it was kind of just hanging out and drinking, and to the point where I'm like sideways, and I didn't understand what you're even saying anymore.
It's funny.
And it,
Because I've always thought of you as being like a very like quiet individual.
Yeah.
And it's one thing I really admired about you being in that band. I was like, you were the most talented of all of us.
I appreciate
You
it.
were the most talented member of that band.
Yeah.
And you were always very humble and quiet.
Yeah.
And like I admired that about you, about how like you were unassumingly very, very good at your craft. Like you were you were the best vocalist in that band. You were definitely the best drummer in that band, and you were a great drummer. Like you did.
Thank you.
Very rarely do you find those two things well together.
Yeah.
It's usually they're either good at one or the other, or
Yeah,
they
yeah.
end up choosing one or the other, or whatever. And one kind of falls on the wayside. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool to see that out of somebody like yourself who's able to do both things very well. But I always thought of you as being more of a quieter individual, especially with the personalities of that group.
Yeah.
Because I could be a big personality. Josh Cooper is definitely a big personality. Josh Watson, he's
in
picks
and
his
out.
spots.
Yeah, yeah.
He picks his spots.
Yeah, he's
definitely the middle ground.
He makes sure what he says. He doesn't say a lot. What he does, it's usually good.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not going to just talk just to talk. He'll say, "Oh, okay."
And also a very talented individual.
Yeah.
I've never met a person who could just pick up an instrument and immediately start learning it. Like he's one of those types.
It's interesting because like I know their families as well. So like I blame his mom and dad for his creativity because his dad's a really good musician. His mom's a really good musician, really good vocalist. And like I remember when I first started going back to church, like his mom was helping me like at church. She would play keyboard, and like I actually learned the notes on a keyboard by watching her bass hand play guitar. And then like I learned a lot of stuff from him too. And it's like, yeah, dude, I'm like, bro, you know everything. You know how to play guitar, you know how to sing, you know how to play bass, you know how to play drums. Like, bro, like when does this stop? Like it's just like keeps coming. And like I've told him that before too. Like dude, I've always kind of like looked up to you as like, okay, this is a musician. Like you're not a guitarist, you're not a drummer, you're a musician. Like you need to be able to master your craft and like be able to be versatile versatile and really and you already know this, but like it really opens up a lot of doors for being used and being not in a bad way, just
And
being,
in bad ways.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I'm not meaning it in that way, but being
I hear you, yeah.
being your talent being used,
Right.
and being able to perform and be able to actually get gigs or get jobs or get whatever, and like that's kind of where I'm at now. Like I've only been playing drums for maybe like getting serious about it maybe like the last maybe 6 years, 5-6 years, but like I've been playing drums since like maybe 10 years now, and it's like I listen to some recordings I've had and it's like, man, I've gotten a lot better. Like just recently, like being able to have a soundboard and getting some kind of critical feedback, like, hey, you need to work on this, you can work on that. Like it's good to have other friends and people who are extremely talented in more than one areas to be able to get those different lines of feedback. But
Yeah, I mean,
and even Josh Watson.
that was the tough part about that band, because it was like every member of that band was good at what they did.
Yeah.
Like Josh was a great guitar player, very talented guitar player. Watson was a very good bassist, much better bassist than I've ever been. And
his dad's a huge
I
musician
kind of
too.
also was feeling a little bit of like imposter syndrome a little bit, but like also too, I didn't know how to express the fact that I wasn't fully on board with the direction of where that band was going.
Yeah.
And it was best for me to bow out, and I didn't do it. I didn't do it well. I didn't do it with any grace.
Yeah.
Did you join the band after? Like, did you join the band later?
I did, I think.
That's part of
I
it.
think it was
Later
already,
when?
I think you guys had already kind of started being.
Oh, dude, we had been in bands since first band I was in with both Joshes. I was 12 years old,
Say 40.
and we were in a punk band, and that band just evolved into that band. We've been playing together at that point over 10 years, about 10 years, and we had we were a band called Insight 40. We tried to sound like Sum 41 when that was popular. Whatever was popular, we would change our name and change the genre. So at that time, like bands like Thrice or Under Oath were like really popular. So that's why we tried to sound like more of the screamo sound. That probably I don't know if you were about that. Maybe that might have been a reason why you weren't feeling the band.
Because like I was
I
was getting involved with a lot of the like nerdy arts kids.
Yeah.
Who, like, wanted to play like
That was emerging.
Unwed Sailor, or
Right.
like Minus the Bear type shit.
I think you got us a gig with Unwed Sailor, didn't you? We opened for them.
Maybe.
We opened for remember Branson? They were
Yes.
from Illyria or whatever. They were pretty good. I think we opened. It was Watching Tomorrow Burn, opening at the Grog. I swear I remember this because it was like I was so happy we were playing
I do
with.
remember this
And
gig now.
Branson played, and then Unwed Sailor, and I think someone was filling in for their drummer or something. Man, I'm telling you, I got this crazy memory, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. I do remember playing a show at the Grog Shop.
Yeah.
And then like I think I was starting to get into. I was in another band that was called the Bright Red Fight.
I remember that band.
Like artsy, nerdy.
I remember that band. Yes. You were in that band.
Yeah, instrumental.
So they had like 4 or 5 different electric guitar players, didn't they? Like, didn't they have like a bunch
There
of guitar
was
players?
3 of us. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that was popular. You guys played at the Shelter over in, I want to say that's Brooklyn area, and it's behind a Papa John's. It was this guy named Doug Kirshner owned it.
Holy shit.
Douchebag Kirshner, if you remember. He was like the new Brandon Ebel of Christian music in Cleveland or whatever. He was trying to be like basically like Brandon Ebel, and he opened that place, and I know my band played there a bunch. He had a band called Johnny Psycho that was like rockabilly that were local, and then he had Rufio and Yellow Card played there, and he dipped out and didn't even pay him.
I remember.
You remember that?
Yeah.
The small place.
Psycho on Guitar Hero. I swear that name sounds familiar.
Rufio?
No, Johnny Psycho.
I don't know if they were
I
popular
swear,
or not.
and I think they had a bonus track.
Really? Maybe they're out there.
You know
That
who
name
else
sounds
played
very
that show?
familiar.
Was My Chemical Romance.
They played there
also
too?
Played that show.
Oh my God, that's a huge show in that small place.
And
they didn't
there
pay.
were nobodies.
There was no one.
I
Yeah.
remember because we got kicked out because a friend of mine made out with the
Was it his sister?
I forget, it was somebody related to the lead singer or somebody
Okay.
involved with the lead singer. I thought it was his girlfriend, but maybe it was his sister.
Oh man, I know a lot about the Kirchners and
That's so funny.
his sister. He would leave. So we played with Copeland. You remember those guys? We opened for Copeland there.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Did you really?
I didn't get to see him because I was so young. And it was a school night. I had to go home, and they're all my all time favorite bands still to this day.
Were you still in high school when we played in a band together?
I may have. I think by then I was graduated. I had to have been.
I think so too.
I had to have been graduated. Yeah, that was probably a
Branson's not
different
even
version of that
on
band.
Spotify.
But again, I was with those guys
That's
for years.
crazy. Branson's not on Spotify.
I have
They're not.
no. I
Still on
have.
SoundCloud.
I have all their CDs.
I was gonna say I had some copies of their CDs on my iPod that I got either I ripped it for you or from Josh Petrie. I remember I got it from somebody.
Dude, I brought this up on my last episode. I know I've said that a billion times.
There was another band that you guys just
But-
mentioned. And I can't remember.
I
Minus the Bear.
I have CDs that you can't find on streaming sites that you pay. I have a compilation of The Police, but it's all indie bands covering their songs, and it's amazing. And you can't find it anywhere. And it's on my phone because I ripped it. I put
Still
it.
talk about one time we did a cover song of I Wear My Sunglasses at Night song.
We covered that song. Yep.
It's a good song.
that was a good we did that.
Yeah, dude. I that was a lot of Grand Theft Auto, playing Grand Theft because it was in the game, and I guarantee that was the inspiration.
But there's like one part that you couldn't find lyrics to.
Yeah, you
And
just
so
made it up.
Just made up the lyrics, and they were cool as shit.
Yeah.
They were like, what did you say? Don't switch the blade on the guy who wears shades. Oh no.
Something like that,
Something
yeah.
along those lines. I was like, that's pretty clever.
Don't masquerade.
Oh yeah.
Something like don't masquerade with the guy in shades.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good.
Masquerade with them.
Isn't it funny how like 80s like to us was like so cool, but then like now the 90s is coming up. Like you're hearing a lot of the 90s music
It's already
again.
happening.
I still love the 80s.
Already happening. My son, not. I think it was last year, the year before last. One of his classes, his teacher. It was like one of his history teachers or something. Every week they had. It was like Throwback Thursday, and he would like let like it rotated. So there was like like 3 students get to pick a Throwback Thursday song, and they would listen to all 3, and then the class would vote on their favorite. And like every like Wednesday, my son's like, "Bro, you gotta give me songs. You gotta give me songs." I'm like, he's like. Any 90s? He's like, dude, something from the 90s. It's got to be 90s or later. I'm like, okay, I got you, bro. And every time I think he took it. I think he got the highest vote on a lot of the songs that he picked. It's like,
Oh my gosh.
So funny.
Toad the Wet Sprocket.
well,
Those guys.
you can't give your high school son a like a power ballad. Like it's got to be something like. I don't know, my worst enemy by Lit or something. You know, like it's got to be something catchy, like that '90s formula, that Q104 formula, where it's like
They had the best formula.
yeah, like
104.
that record company formula for all the pop soft rock songs or whatever. So I was like, yeah, I got a few up my sleeve that you could listen to, but
Oh yeah.
It's good music, man. I gotta say, like, I can't think of. There was a lot of songs like what was that? Sarah McLachlan or whatever. She had that.
Arms of an Angel.
Yeah.
That's
You
a
don't
great
he-
song, but
you don't
that's not
hear
a song.
songs like that anymore. You don't hear soft ballads, and it's always something with like a pump and bass, and you don't hear.
Everything starts with a hook now.
Yeah, everything does. Yeah,
it's just a hook.
yeah.
We were talking about this. Like they don't do guitar solos, they don't do instrumental solos anymore.
We
Like
talked about this on our episode
yeah,
with you.
it's
Yep,
just like it's a dying thing, but it's like.
it's just where we're at.
Yeah.
Like I get the party music. Like I don't know why I get hated on for this, but like I love LFMAO. Like I love like party rock anthem. Like I don't know why. Like it just
Those
gets
are
me
classics.
pumped. But like that's not something I'm gonna like that's not something I'm listening to when I'm like feeling sentimental. Like I actually have I call it Senties, my sentimental playlist, my Senties playlist of songs that have meaning to me. And then like some of those power ballads are on there. Like some of those like like, yeah, these songs have meaning, but like I wouldn't be rocking this out at the party. Like I wouldn't be playing this in my car when I got all my friends in the car, you know, like I wouldn't be playing this at the club. Like,
Oh my gosh.
So I was in on this. What do you guys feel was like your biggest, like, I guess, what would you say, like your most influential time or period of like how now, like your milestone of like what would be like the most influential on how you interact or how you socialize with others today? Like, what was that period of your life? What did that look like?
say it one more time.
So
I thought we were, because I feel like we're not talking about music, right?
no.
Okay, because in my mind when you were asking the question, I was thinking music. Ask me one more time.
So what was the most influential time of your life that now influences how you socially interact with others today?
I could easily answer this.
Yeah, go for it.
When I was 15, I started going back to church, and I was like, and I know you kind of grew up. You guys kind of have a background in history with church as well. So like when I say on fire for the Lord, like I was like. And I would preach to everybody and anybody I can. I mean, Ryan can attest to this. Like, almost to the point, it's like, dude, I don't even want to hang out with this guy because, like, all he wants to do is like correct me on everything I do. Like, it's always going back to like, you know, you shouldn't say that. That's not right. You know, and it's like, and like almost to the point where, not intentionally, but like I feel like I was like that Bible thumper. Like I was shoving religion down people's throats, and it got to the point like my dad and like. Specifically my dad, like I had kind of an estranged relationship with him like throughout my teenage years because of that, because I was so dead set on like, dude, you need to go to church. It's like, if you don't go, like I almost disowned my dad. Yeah. And it wasn't until, I messed up and got one of the youth pastors. It was a couple things. So like it was like there was a couple, they're the youth pastors, they got kids, and then there's another couple, they have their daughter. I was dating her, you know, actually my ex-wife. Ended up knocking her up. She was still 18 in high school, senior in high school. I was 21, and we were engaged to be married. We were going to get married the following year, and she ended up getting pregnant, and like, you know, it was such a turning point for me because like I felt like I fell from grace or whatever. Like I messed up, got demoted from everything that I was doing in the church. Like I was no longer teaching children's church. I had to take a month off from playing on the platform on Sunday mornings, Sunday nights. Like I couldn't play music. Like I was trying to make amends. I was trying to do my penance, I guess, even though we didn't believe in that, but that's what I felt like it was.
Do your time.
Yeah. And so, but like,
pay your debt to society.
Right. But like, I felt like my church family, I felt like kind of betrayed me to a point where like, there was even an elder lady in the church. Like she stopped me after church one night and she was like, you know, my son did the same thing and I haven't talked to him in 20 years. And I'm like, lady, this is supposed to be, and I was telling everybody, like, this is supposed to be a happy time in my life. Like, I'm about to have a kid.
Yeah.
It's not planned. I didn't want to have a kid right now, but it's happening. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm supposed to be excited and happy about this. Like, this shouldn't be the worst time of my life. Like, I shouldn't feel like a total piece of crap right now. Like, where is the love and the support that we've been preaching and loving and doing all this time? Like I'm not getting that
at that point.
Didn't, but like if I did, like, well, that would be even worse. Oh my God. Like
how could it have been worse?
I don't know. But, I ended up having this revelation, where I'm like, I'm not perfect. And if I look at just the life of Christ and like how he lived and like what he preached and what his message was, I should be loving all sinners. And like, instead of me giving my dad hate for not believing or not accepting or not having the same faith that I do, like it's not, I'm not doing it right. Like I'm totally missing the mark. Like I'm totally missing the point of Christianity. It's not about a religious thing like you're following these set of rules. It's, you know, this is my journey. Your journey is going to be your experience, and whatever your relationship it is, and whatever your journey is, that's between you and God, not between me. I have nothing to do with that. All I can do is just share what I believe. All I can do is just share what I know and what my experiences are, and not make you feel like, pressured into doing anything like that. That's not. That's not what Christ did. Like, I mean, he was like, take it or leave it. This is me. Like, here's the message. If you don't and they even said, some people got really upset, man, and walked away. And some people were like, I need more, like, feed me more. And I felt like at that moment, like when that happened, I really changed the way that I remember in high school, like even when I was working at Arby's, and I would get into conversations with people at work. I would get conversations with people at school. And I don't want not so much like arguments. Like there were some people that like would give me hate, and we're taught like, blessed are the persecuted, and like, pray for those that despitefully. And like, I would feel like they hate me. I would feel like, oh, whatever, go ahead, give me crap. Like, that's fine. Like the more crap I get, the better I am. It's like, and it's like, dude, you're missing the point, man. Like, you're supposed to love everybody, like even the sinner, especially the sinner. Like, and yeah, that was like the moment, like when I got married, when I had my son, and it's like, and I realized like I am nowhere near perfect. And like, and shame on me for making other people feel like they need to be like me or live like me or have a certain way of living or believing. Like, I need to just love people just for who they are, meet them where they are, and just share my life if they want to hear it. If they don't want to hear it, then fine. Then whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and preach to you and make you like. I'm not gonna make you listen to whatever I have to say. If you don't want to hear it, that's your God-given American free will right to say to walk away, and so like I try to live that way. I try to be that way, and I am a talker. So doing the podcast has actually helped me a lot to kind of like you said, like stop and listen a little bit more. Yeah, that's always something that I'm always trying to actively do. Get to the point, which I feel like I'm trying to do right now.
No, you're fine.
But like get to the point. Say what you need to say and get out. And if people want to hear more, then they'll ask for more. You know what I mean? Like if they want to hear more of it and they're thirsty for it, then they can ask. But it's not my job to force anything that I believe. But it's definitely helped me in all communication. Like I feel like that was a maturity thing. Like even professionally working for the school district was a really a grown up. Like forced me to mature a lot more with dealing with other customers and customer service. I feel like I've always been in customer service to a point, and really interacting with other people and just listening and just kind of empathizing with whatever they're going through and just trying to help them solve whatever problem that they're having. It bleeds over to my career, to at home, to all of it, even conflict, even just dealing with conflict resolution, like that's a big deal. Like, if I see that it's a conflict, like not getting emotional, not putting your emotions don't be emotionally invested into a conflict. You need to stick to the facts, stick to the logic. It's not easy to do. Like it's definitely something that I've had to learn over the years. And
look at Facebook or anything.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I don't, because it's like I feel like a lot of that stuff it's emotionally charged, and it's really easy to fall into that pit of just like constantly like. I mean, me and my girlfriend, we've had arguments, and I'm not going to sit here and say that every argument we've had has always been a civil one. So, like, I mean, there's been plenty of times that we've gotten arguments where it's like probably within the last week, her and I had an argument where like I said things, and she knows it, where we both have said things that were like emotionally charged. And it's like, I know she didn't mean that. Like, and she's like, yeah, I know you didn't mean that. Like, I know you didn't. Like, I mean, we still apologize, but like. Yeah, I think a lot of that goes back to those moments in my life where looking back at like how am I treating others and making them feel like if I'm really serious about my faith and how I feel about it, like I shouldn't be offending people. I
thought that's so weird how that lady said that about like this is a lady that's probably sat in church like 30, 40, 50
Old
years
time.
of her life, and then she's heard so many sermons on forgiveness and stuff, but then she says that and doesn't forgive her own son for 20 years. That's the mentality. I mean, that was we were obviously more the legalistic church, because I grew up with me and Tim grew up in the same church, and it wasn't like, I know you were like more of the like a mega church type of thing where you grew up.
A little bit. It was definitely more of like a non-denominational,
Right.
like charismatic Christian church.
No
It
belt,
wasn't as legalistic as
no belt, no tie, no serve. You don't
Yeah,
get to serve.
we were-
You don't get to play and serve.
we were almost like apostolic. You know, apostolic. They're like
Yeah.
to this day they have to be.
Ours was a
The
very
women
like,
can't wear makeup or anything. It's insane.
Ours is very like ex-hippies who found Jesus.
Yeah.
Who were like
Yeah, exactly.
liberal, all have like liberal arts degrees. That's the kind of church I grew up in.
Yeah.
Where you put on a lot of plays,
Right.
painting.
That's the whole Jesus hippie movement in the '60s. There was a movie that came out. I think it was like a Christian movie. It came out like a year ago or 2 years ago. It was about that whole movement. I think it was, I forget what it was called, but it was
my parents were definitely involved with that movie.
yeah.
Like
It was interesting.
they're always their take on religion was like, this is what we use as a way of engaging into community with other people that have somewhat like-minded ideas on Christianity, and like this is also our way of not being alcoholics. Like we can and raising our kids
Sure.
in a space where it's not necessarily like romanticized or applauded the fact that you drink so much. So that's kind of their take on it. But it also too is like, you know, probably with your dad, it probably helped humanize you a little bit and make you guys something that you guys could relate upon and bond over.
Oh, it's interesting, our relationship now, because like he'll like we've had our fair share of conversations. Like, I mean, he's like one of my best friends in my life. Like I honestly feel I'm pretty open with my girlfriend. Like I've shared almost every emotional feeling, inner thought, inner monologue or whatever with her. But the things that I can't share with her, I've shared with him. And it's like I feel like I could definitely be very open with him, and he doesn't judge me or like he'll give me his advice, but he's a goofball too. I mean, he's a nut, you know, and like we've hung out and he's shared his beliefs, and I'm like, okay, dude, like sure. He's like, when I come back, I want to be a fish, so, and then that way they can catch
John Denver
like
theory.
Yeah, whatever. Like that's what.
Yeah, I just got to say real quick, going along with what I was saying a minute ago about your dad, I remember hearing from other people, I'm just going to be honest, I heard this from the mouth of a person who's now in prison for touching little kids, okay? This is a guy who was holier than thou, told me, and this is when you were saying you kind of like exiled your dad or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember him saying, because you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, he's been hanging out with his dad a lot. And I thought that was the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I've never heard anyone say that about me. I'm hanging out with my dad too much. Like,
Right.
But like, what do you mean he's hanging out with his dad too much? What does that even mean?
Because he knew my past.
Yeah, but it was just.
He knew my past with my dad growing up in the lifestyle that I.
We know his.
And like it's like, well, if you're hanging out with the devil, then you're going to turn back into the devil, and it's like,
yeah, and that's the cult-like mentality.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. You said it. You said it right there.
Is that
That's
like
it.
they think that things should go in a particular way because it doesn't set their some sort of weird standard? And that was my biggest issue with Christianity at the time. Is like, or Christianity still today, is that I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any God or any higher being or entity, but I find that to be very relieving to me, because there isn't like any real standard of something that's judging me on how I'm living my life in some way, shape, or form. Like, it's very freeing knowing that when I die, there's nothing. So to make the most out of today, because it's all I have, and like, but I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And any atheist that says that they are liars or they're idiots. And like,
Have you thought about agnostic?
I don't believe in any God. Like, I don't believe in a higher being at all.
Do you not believe that there's a possibility?
I believe that there is. No, I don't believe that there's a possibility in my mind, but I also don't think that I'm 100% right either, because anybody who thinks 100% one way or the other is still wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say so. So the reason why I asked this is because I actually heard a very interesting somebody who's also atheist who with that same logic, that nobody's actually an atheist. Like it's more, you're more agnostic. And I think you just said it. Like agnostic just means like, I don't believe in God, but I'm not saying that there isn't one. Like if there is one, I don't have any evidence to prove that there is. Like there's nothing here that's showing me that there is a living God who loves. There's no evidence to show me that. And right. And so but like you can't prove that there isn't a God, but I also can't sit here and prove that there is a God. I mean, without using like holy, scripture or something. So that's why I was saying that might be something you might want to just consider. No, I'm not preaching. If anything, I'm telling you to be agnostic, not atheist. Well, but really, I feel like that's also just as freeing.
I like to think of myself as a very tolerant atheist. I'm willing to hear you out.
Sure.
That doesn't mean I believe that there is a God.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that there is a specific God at all. If there ever, in the smallest amount or possibility, if there were a God, I don't think he's very specific on religion. I don't think he gives a fuck if you're Muslim. I don't think he gives a fuck if you're Christian. I don't think he gives a fuck if you're Jewish.
Yeah.
I think he just doesn't give a shit. He's like, the whole concept of that is very foreign to him. And it's like something that's been completely structuralized because it's the only way man can conceive it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually agree with that a lot.
Yeah.
And that is something that I still struggle with is so many religions that have the very similar storyline, and it's like, who's to say that like a Judeo-Christian is more right than somebody else who has a very similar plan of salvation,
sure,
or a very similar historical account of the creation of the universe or whatever it may be. I've heard this before, but I recently heard it. That's why I'm thinking of it. I think Ricky Gervais actually says it best. Like he was on the show with what's his name? One of the not Conan O'Brien, but Steve Colbert. Mm-hmm. And he was talking to him, and he was like, he's like, you believe in God? He's like, you believe in one God? And he's like, well, one God, three persons, as one, they're talking about the Trinity. He's like, okay, so like, that's fine. And he's like, I'm an atheist. He's like, there's about 3,000 gods in this world, and all you're saying is that you believe in one less God than I do. You don't believe in 2,999 gods. I just don't believe in one less God than you do, which is, it's a good way of putting it.
Dude, yeah, that guy's got some pretty bangers when it comes to like his perspective.
Yeah, he does. He really does. I will give him credit for that. And like, I don't want to go like down this deep rabbit hole.
No,
but I just
the whole point of this.
I just feel like because I'm not prepared for this type of conversation. Well, that's why I'm saying that. But I do feel like an agnostic point of view is more fair. I think it's a fair stance to say, like, I don't believe in God. Okay, that's fine. Like,
it is easy to say.
That's fine. But then at the same time, like, logically speaking, and if you're saying that and you haven't said this, but if you're saying that your reasons for not believing God is there's no evidence or prove to me that there is a God, and you're like, no, I can't do that. And then
well,
it's like,
the difference between atheism and agnostic is agnostic acknowledges that there is a God, they're not sure what it is. Where an atheist doesn't believe in a God at all, and I'm tolerant enough to say, I don't know if I'm right. And there's no Christian to say, or no Muslim or Jewish person to say that their God is true as well.
Right.
But I'm not going to poo-poo on your belief system if it's helpful for you. You enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why I don't give a shit if somebody's gay or not.
Yeah.
Like they have their own life and it's their own journey. Like you said earlier, like their life to live, and just do whatever's happiest to you. Like I don't want to like, I've got friends who are like into like all kinds of different spirits and spiritual type things. And I think it's crazy and ridiculous, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have the right to believe it.
Yeah.
So like, we all have our path, and you should do whatever's happiest for you. And with that being said, what was your milestone or your like period of time in your life that you feel like, oh, this really like what shaped me to who I am today?
Oh man, that's a hard one, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
Especially following Tim's.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great one. I feel like, man, I'm white privilege all day, baby. Listen, I was raised with a silver spoon, so my whole life, I think that kind of goes back to why I was always kind of quiet and reserved and didn't have too many opinions. I think probably my most defining, probably for me, honestly, was after going through my kidney transplant. So kind of going back to what I said recently, just my 30s, just now feeling like an actual person. And never really had any opinions on anything or voiced my opinion on anything until that happened and everything I went through. Not to go into all more spiritual stuff on your show.
No, you're fine.
We do this a lot on my show, so I feel like that's what
we're here for.
That's all we do is preach on our show. But that's not what we do. We talk about it a lot.
And thank you for coming on this show and doing that, because for me, it's definitely a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
'Cause normally, I'm not talking to somebody who's
sure
of any belief.
Right. That's true. Yeah. So, well, just I guess this, and it's such a long story. It's hard to even, but. After all I went through, and just seeing God's hand over everything that I went through, being on dialysis only 6 months, which is unheard of. After being told I was going to be on a list for 10 years, I mean, I could have died on dialysis, So that really made me wake up. And I don't know what, it was like a switch just flipped. Like I was just like, I feel like, dude, I went through a lot. Anytime you go through something like that, just a major life experience,
faced with your own mortality.
Exactly.
Right? Basically, yeah. And I've had that. I've been in almost fatal car accidents. I've had different things happen, but that was something I could not control at all. It was something that was happening that I was like, why do I gotta go through this? But I'm like, I remember after it was all said and done, and I was actually praying. I was like, why did I have to go through all that? I had to go through this and go through that, and I felt like the Holy Spirit said to me, oh, "But you're alive," and that was it. Just that 2 words, or 3 words,
right?
But those 3 words kind of resonated with me. I don't know if it was the Holy Spirit, if it was just that just popped in my head or what, but I was just like, wow. I cried when I had that and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go through life not speaking my mind. I'm not going to go through my life being the quietest voice in the room and never being heard. And it kind of goes back to why I started this show. And I'll also say I was also on a lot of steroids after my surgery, so that gave me a crazy boost of confidence. and when I started my show, I'm not even kidding, the day I started my podcast, I had like bronchitis. I was hopped up on, I cleaned my house, I detailed my car, and started a podcast all in one day. I'm not even kidding. I was on like 13
Didn't get paid for any of it.
grams of steroid, and I was like, dude, I was just,
He was juiced.
yeah, I was juiced, but you know what? I got hooked right away, and not to derail things, but I know I already have, but I guess that's my most, just go, because it was something I knew it was going to happen. I was born with this kidney disease. I knew it was going to happen eventually. My whole life, I was told I'd be on dialysis at 10. I didn't go on dialysis till I was 29. So just
crazy.
Yeah, so that alone, that also was kind of showing God's favor on my life. So again, not to be so preachy, but that was definitely for me in coming out of that. And time goes by. It's been 8 years now. That was 8 years ago when I had that transplant and went through all that stuff. And time goes by, and you slowly forget. You take for granted. I know we talked about this on my show about me drinking. I was like, dude. And you kind of said, well, you got to live your life. Like, because I was like, dude, like,
there's no beer in heaven or In heaven, there's no beer, so I'll drink it here.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. There's that.
I don't know if that's really.
Also, too, for context, normally when somebody's on dialysis, that's a pretty much like a, that's a that you stay on dialysis. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
That's usually when you're on death's door for the most part.
Right.
And the fact that you were on it for such a short period of time, and were able to not get dialysis in the future,
Right.
is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
That is a pretty miraculous recovery.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact that like that's usually it when somebody's on dialysis. That's the beginning of the end.
It is if you can't get a kidney, if you can't get which these days they're doing so many things now. That used to be. These days they're making artificial kidneys. They're making artificial hearts. They're putting. I think they just did. I saw a story. They put a pig kidney in someone, and they're doing just fine right now. It was just recently.
That's why bacon's so good for you.
It is crazy.
Tell that to Leviticus.
Yeah.
Bible thumper.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, man, it's
My pigs before I eat them.
That's why my favorite thing about how Christians are like always like giving Muslims shit or Jewish people shit about eating bacon. It's like, well, it did come from the very first
One of
first
them, yeah.
half of your Bible. So
yeah,
you should probably get on the train.
right. Touche.
So,
That's
or if
good
you
stuff.
spill your seed, you got to give some doves to some priests.
Ooh,
Oh man.
man, I owe a lot of doves. I owe a lot of doves. Those poor pigeons.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the church and I was very, firm in my beliefs for a long time. And, it was definitely like, it was causing more stress and panic for me than it was giving me comfort. And that's why I don't try and shit on people for their religions.
Yeah.
Because I do know that for some people, it is very comforting for them to
Yeah.
know that there's something looking out for them, or there's a higher being,
Right.
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that there's anything wrong with even using that as a way to feel good. What's the harm in it?
Right.
Like again, like to go back to the hacky joke of like there's no such thing as an atheist soup kitchen. Like, and it's true. Like it's there's definitely a lot more good that has been done in the name of some sort of religion, but there's also been a lot more shitty things too.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
But that's just life in general. You
Yep.
got to take the good with the bad and bad with the good. And, thankfully that you gotten to live a certain life. But like, again, like you being on dialysis is like the fact that you got on it and were able to like heal, get off of it
Yeah.
and have those moments. But like in the time of like really like being literally like face to face with your mortality,
Yeah.
I commend you for being able to get through that and with any kind of positivity, because I know for a fact that I don't think I had that in me. I'm just not even that kind of person to begin with. I'm a pretty miserable person already. So to put that kind of like
Don't bring me
thing,
down.
yeah, it's hard. Like when I'm already kind of a depressed person,
Yeah.
and you get thrown into something that's like a real thing to be depressed.
You know what's but you know what's funny about that is okay, so we get upset or depressed or whatever you want to say, and we get upset about like the little things. But when you're going through something like that, the little things don't matter. You're focusing on the big thing. I dropped my phone, or I dropped my whatever hot pocket, or I don't know, but whatever. You little things like, oh, son of a bitch, like that. Just I'm like that all the time, but I wasn't like that through that because that wasn't important. What's important was let's do this. I did home dialysis, so I was trained and I did it by myself. I did it at home.
That is
and
wild.
so it was very clean. You had to wash your hands a full minute. You had to wear a mask. I was wearing a mask in 2016. And and you gotta do this exchange. You had a port, and you had to hook it to an IV bag, and I did it myself, and it wasn't hard. But
The pick line.
I had like like right here. It was almost like a diabetic would have, like where they have that tube coming out. It was pretty gross. I had to clean it, Had to put like a solution, some type of peroxide stuff, and clean that
You did all
exit
that
site.
on your own.
Oh,
That's-
dude, it was so disgusting. I did all that myself. Put a fresh bandage on it. Yeah, man. I only did it 6 months though, and that was again that's my testimony personally. And I know a lot of people. They say, why do bad things happen to good people? I can't answer that. I don't know why.
Bad things happen to all people.
It does. It does. I went through something bad. But I came out, and again, I was alive in the end. And I that's all I can say. So,
Jeremy, I would say, the fact that you can recognize that your own personality type, your own depression, your own struggle, that's probably the biggest piece. I was actually just talking to a friend about that last week because he was going through a hard time, and I ain't seen him in a while. I ain't seen him since like October or something. It was like 6 months, and I ran into him. I was like, "Hey man, listen, like, dude, I just want to take the time to tell you, like, listen, I'm glad that you are in my life. Like, I've kept you in my life." He's like, because you've, like, your personality, like, the way that you talk about, like, pushing yourself and, like, becoming better and being better. He's like, I don't care how you measure your success. I don't care, like, if you think that you're a failure. Like, you have inspired me to keep going and be strong. And, like it was really something to him. He's like, dude, you don't even know what I've been going through, like, the last month and a half, 2 months. He's like, I really needed to hear that. He's like, because he's like, when, like, I don't know personality types or what they all mean, but sure. He's definitely one of those people where, like, money is a driving factor for him. So, like, I mean, if he's not making the type of money that he thinks he should be making, like, he feels like he's not being successful, which is fine. I mean, that's he's at an age where he can do that because he don't want to have to be working his ass off when he's like 50, 60 years old trying to. He wants to do it now. Like, let me make bank now, put money away, take care of my daughter, take care of my family, do what I got to do, and then that way I can sit back and enjoy life later on. And that's a fine philosophy.
Glad he has that philosophy.
Yeah.
Some people don't. They're like, I'm not work until I die. I'm like, why would you want that?
I don't plan on working until I die, but, like, I'm not, like, driven by money though. Like, I mean, money's good. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't like having money. I much rather like having money than not having money. Sure. So, but, like, at the same time, like my family, I feel like I've done the. I don't want to say I've done the best. I always feel like I could. I said this earlier. I always feel like I could do more, but the fact that you, like, can recognize that and, like, understand that like we said earlier, everybody's on their own journey. They may have their own belief, their own path. Like, yeah, I commend you for that because there's a lot of people out there. They just don't care. There's a lot of Karens out there. They just don't care. Like, their coffee wasn't made the right way. This is the end of my day. Like, you just ruined my life. Like, you cut me off in traffic. Like, my life is over. Like, those little things. Like, it's like,
equate it to being like almost in a sense like an alcoholic because you know what the rock bottom looks like,
right?
And you've lived the rock bottom so many times that you know how to, like, pull yourself up. You know how to change things around.
Yeah.
There's different even protocols now in my life that, like, because of either therapy or either Xanax or Wellbutrin or whatever medications that I'm on.
Sure.
Like, but therapy is definitely good. Like, therapy was very good for me, and it gave me, like, the tools that I needed in order to handle things on a more healthier level.
right.
Which is good because, I think this is important. I guess because, like, if I were to want to kill myself, if I was to say I'm done, I don't want to live anymore.
It's over, right?
My protocol now is I have to call my mom and I have to tell her.
Right.
I have to call my dad. I have to tell him.
Right.
I have to call my wife and I have to tell her.
Right.
And if after those 3 phone calls I still want to kill myself,
Right.
by all means.
Yep.
But
I know exactly. I've been through the therapy. I understand.
Yeah. It's so there's so many people out there that I don't think really know that protocol, and man, I'm thankful
To have a plan, like a safety plan.
Yeah,
it absolutely. Because I mean, there was a time. I mean, I was there. I was there. I was like,
had the thought.
I was like, I was like, I got three options: either the Montana plan, where you just pack up and move away and run out on everybody, but it's no different than killing yourself. Because what good is it doing for my kids and my future, my family? Like I'm still running out of my family, or kill myself, and then it's even worse. Like it's like it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, or I can just own my mistakes and own my life and own the struggles that I've built for myself and just do the best I can to make it right.
What's the acronym, Tim? What is that?
OAC. Yeah, that's what it's.
What is it?
That's own it, apologize, and change. So like I teach all my kids, mostly my teenagers, but I teach all my kids that you mess up, and it's something that came up. I wish it was a better acronym, like OAC, whatever.
I always like to say that like no one should ever be defined by the mistakes that they make, but by how they handle them.
Oh, for sure.
That's the defining factor of who you are as an individual. Not the mistakes. It's how you handled those mistakes. And I think that owning it. What was it? OAC.
So you own it. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I didn't. I spilled the tea in the hallway. I did it, and then apologized. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done that. You like make amends. Like do the best you can. It might not fix it. It's still there. It's still a mess. You still stained the carpet. You know, you still broke the dish. You still, cheated on your taxes. You still cheated on your wife. You still, cheated on your job, whatever it is. But then don't stop there. Change your behavior. Like if you're owning it and you're apologizing, then change it. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do the next best thing. I can't take the fact back that, I cheated on my wife or got my girlfriend and my wife pregnant at the same time twice. Like it's not something I'm proud of, but it's like, okay, there's got to be a turning point here. Like I can't keep doing this forever. Like this is not healthy for me, for the women in my life, or the children that I'm about to bear. So it's like, I need to change something in my life. I need to make something different. And so I did it, and I'll always own it. And I'm sorry, I've apologized to.
I gotta
apologize so many times, but then at the same time, it's like you got to change it. You got to change what you're doing, otherwise you're just going to keep making the same mistakes.
I gotta say, you told that same exact story on the first podcast you were ever on with me.
Yeah,
it was like almost verbatim the exact same. It's good
you didn't
though.
know the story. I
already knew it.
See you for
but I just love that it's echoed on here. I just love it.
It's my life. That's why I have 4 kids and love 5.
I agree with you. The fact that any words that aren't met with actions are just meaningless gestures.
For sure.
And I think that's a good spot to end on.
Yes.
So
sorry isn't a word; it's a feeling.
I agree wholeheartedly. So these have been the 2 gentlemen on Your Drive Home podcast. Where can people find you guys on the social media?
Yeah, Instagram at yourdrivehome.podcast. Yourdrivehome.podcast. You can find us on Facebook,
Instagram,
YouTube. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, streaming everywhere.
Are we on X, formerly known as Twitter?
We are not. Actually, we are. We are. Yes, I lied. We are on X. I think it's just Your Drive Home Podcast. Yeah, just anywhere you get podcasts. And I don't know. Do we have anything else?
YouTube, Amazon, Apple Music, Spotify.
Yeah, follow us there. That's it.
And then,
Can I play my band? Plug my band, The Morning Bird. We are playing Coda actually on May 25th. I believe I forget who we are opening for, but we will be playing if this is out by then, May 25th at Coda here in Tremont. So
I like playing there. I like their stage.
Yeah, it's a small, low ceiling, so everything's really sounds good. The sound system's always good.
It's a good spot for comedy too.
That's probably great.
Food is phenomenal.
Awesome.
So, this has been Tim Campbell and Ryan Moore. And thank you guys for
Thank you.
Thank you.
Big honor being
Thank
here.
you again for bringing up the Watch It Tomorrow Burn.
Yes. We got to rehash it on my show.
We need to do a Patreon episode that we'll split.
Yeah.
And we'll call up Josh Cooper. We'll get Josh Watson in here.
I love it.
I want him to tell me his perspective of what happened.
If he remembers, that'd be great.
If he remembers.
Son of
a... Yeah, even if it's that.
Yeah.
Why not?
I am not so prideful.
We're adults here.
We can handle something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it would be cool to
That'd be great.
hear his perspective of how I was kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
So thank you again, guys, for coming
Thank
on.
you.
You can find me at Gheramy_Demery. You can go to secretsocietycomedy.com, figure out where we're at next there, and go to, I don't have to promote the Vixens anymore because it's no longer a thing. So good night, everybody.